What was the name of the puck on hockey? Wasn't it Hockey Night in Canada? Was it Peter the Puck?
Yeah, I seem to recall Peter the Puck.
Was it Peter the Puck?
Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder whatever happened to Peter.
Yeah.
You think he came on hard times?
Yeah.
Had an affair with one of the Olympic mascots. It was a very scandal. Remember that?
Yeah, I heard he got
I think it was
vulcanized.
Squanchy. Was it Squanchy that?
Squatchy.
Squatchy. What?
Squatchy.
Well, how was that? Wasn't it the big Sasquatch?
Yeah,
What was-
Squatchy.
Yeah.
Squatchy, was that his name?
Yeah.
Who the came up with that?
Vanok.
Do you remember that? That had to have been the worst.
Squatchy, itchy, and scratchy or something.
We better get out of here while we're ahead. Anyways, we just stepped all over that intro.
And I think you should keep it.
Not my problem. You got to edit.
This is the AT Banter podcast, a balanced and entertaining look at assistive technology, accessibility, and its importance in people's lives. Join Rob Minot, Ryan Fleury, and Steve Barclay as they banter with people around the world about anything and everything regarding assistive technology and the disability community. Now, on with the show.
And hey, and welcome to yet another episode of AT Banter.
Frickin' Monday banter.
I am Rob Minot, today joined by Ryan Fleury
Hey.
and Steve Barclay.
A rather damp Steve Barkley.
Yeah, I guess let's just start talking about how our day's going so far.
Yeah, I'll start with you guys.
Yeah, right.
You want to? You tell the story, Steve.
All right. Well, so went off, did a service call this morning, drove back to pick Rob up for the podcast. We usually get coffee. So I hopped out of the Jeep, closed the door, and then thought, hey, do I have my keys? Nope, they were hanging from the ignition, and I'd locked the door. So fortunately, where we were was at the mall, though it's only about a 15-20 minute walk from my place.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we meandered back that way, saw a deer, which was interesting,
Nice.
and it was frickin' pouring.
Yeah, that's the important part of the story to remember for the people in the audience. Yeah, it was pouring, Vancouver pouring the entire way.
Yeah, got home, got my daughter to let me in, got the spare Jeep key, went back to the Jeep, got ourselves unlocked.
So wait, so that's 20 minutes there and then 20 minutes back.
In the pouring rain.
In the pouring rain, every moment of that walk.
No umbrellas.
No umbrellas and no let up. Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's raining hard and then it sort of lets up a little bit. No, it just poured the entire time.
So then we get here, and our first podcast we were going to record, we were doing two today. First one got canceled. So what did we do? We walked to McDonald's.
In the rain.
And it poured. Poured.
My McDonald's bag got really wet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And almost broke.
Egads.
But yeah, so that's our story. So we're a little. I'm soaked. Like honestly, I shouldn't be wearing pants right now. My pants are soaked. I actually considered taking them off.
Keep the pants on.
Yeah.
But
You're sitting on my couch.
I didn't want to do that to you guys. So we're wet. We're cranky. It's Monday. But hey,
The show must go on.
We'd better have a good topic today.
No, we don't.
yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, we don't. Ryan,
This was Steve's guest, so this is all Steve.
Okay.
oh, was this your idea?
So we have an awesome guest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, really, was this your idea?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were contributing ideas to the podcast.
Oh, there's a slam.
Ouch.
Guess you're walking home in the rain.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time today.
That's it. I'm taking my jingle sticks
No,
back.
no.
Can't have the jingle sticks no more.
No, right in the left
listen,
field.
listen.
You just lobbing them today.
No, I'm just taking a book. A page.
Usually it's me that's lobbing them.
I'm just taking a page out of Trump's playbook and
No, that's
lobbing
not. Get off on
insults.
that tangent.
Yeah, that's true. That's a whole another thing. No, okay. Well, would tell people what we're doing today then, somebody.
So, yeah, this week we have got Mark Bentz coming on. Mark is with Blind Hockey Canada, and he is going to tell us all about playing blind hockey, how you can get involved in blind hockey, how many people are out there playing blind hockey, and we'll probably talk about pucks.
All right, well, boys, take it away.
So, Mark.
Yes.
Hockey.
And a great thing it is.
Isn't it just? and here we are in the playoffs too. Which teams you picked for the playoffs?
Well, I mean, the Canucks aren't around, so it's tough slogging. I'll wait a little bit longer till it gets easier to pick.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. Non-committal.
Yeah, non-committal. I'm a non-committal Canucks fan for sure.
There you go.
Are there other types of Canucks fans?
Easy.
Hey, sorry, I'm just gonna stay over here.
Where's that drumstick? I can thwack you with it.
Yay, sports! I'm on board.
So tell us a bit about your hockey organization and what you do.
Sure. We're called Canadian Blind Ice Hockey, and we take kids, youth, and adults, and we put them on the ice to play the nation's game. We do it across Canada in small communities and in the big cities. We've been doing it for about 8 years now, and had some amazing successes growing the sport. It has been around for 35 years in Canada, but it was just independent teams. So there was an independent team in Montreal, independent team in Toronto, an independent team in Vancouver. 8 years ago, we got together and we started making more of a formal organization. And it started out as Courage Canada, turned into Canadian Blind Ice Hockey.
So how many teams are out there now?
We probably have 6 in Canada, and right now I think there's 6 in the U.S.
And who's the worst team?
Hey,
Well, that's a good question, but I don't like to take favors here either.
So you're not going to say who the best team is either?
Well, I mean, I play for the Vancouver Clips, so I've got to say we are a very strong team.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
so why don't you give us a little bit of background on how, just for people who may not be familiar with blind hockey, and this might be a new concept to them, give us an idea of how it's played and how it, say, differs from conventional hockey.
Sure. The adaptive part is the puck. It's approximately 5 inches wide, 2 inches tall. It's metal, painted black, of course, and full of ball bearings. So that is the key adaptive change, and it rattles as you shoot it, as it goes off the boards, and the enlarged surface area of the puck allows people with lower vision to see it. All the rules are identical. The only addition we have made is after the blue line, you have to pass the puck. So the offense going into the goal has to pass it after they go into the blue line, and that just encourages or discourages, I should say, someone going end to end and scoring. And that's how the game plays identically to sighted hockey. And the way we do it when we compete, and the future of what we're looking at is to break a team into a number of points. So an example, we'll just say 15 points on a team. And we classify B3s with 3 points, B2s with 2 points, B1 with 1 point. And we ask that anybody just divide up those numbers and make 15. But typically, the goalie's totally blind. And to ensure that, we blindfold them. So they could have a little bit of vision, but we blindfold them just to ensure that everybody's on an equal playing field. The defense pair is typically a B2, so lower vision. We look at basically 5% to 0. And then a B3 would be between 5% and 10%. And it flows extremely well. Like it's a really fast-paced game at our national tournament.
And for Ryan's educational purposes, how do you avoid pancaking yourself into the boards?
Well, that's how it happens sometimes. But once you pancake yourself a couple times, you become very aware of how far the boards are away from you. So it's survival of the fittest. You need to figure. Well, it's just like life. You need to figure life out. So. You count. I mean, we actually have a totally blind person. He plays defense or forward, and he counts his stride, and he knows exactly where he is at all times. Like, it's incredible. I mean,
You must have really good spatial awareness.
Oh yeah, it's wow. I mean, that's all I can say. It's phenomenal. But it's just one of those things you have to get used to. The good thing about an ice rink is it's a closed environment, so you know how far the distances are left to right, front to back, and as long as you can understand where you are on the ice, you can figure it out.
Well, if I ever try it again, I'll just tether myself to Gary.
Yeah, well, the important part when you have full vision loss or very low vision is the communication.
Yeah,
I would say that is another important part. So myself, I have 2% of my vision. I can't see who's who. I can see them moving, but I can't tell who's who. So communicating when people are around you, like the higher sighted B3s, that's how they become advantageous and create a better experience for you. And of course, a better outcome for the whole game is that when they're around you, they're going to say, hey, it's Graham, pass up on the left.
right.
Or, hey, you're on the right-hand side of the boards, pass it around the back of the net. So communication is an important part of the game.
What about I don't know. What about penalties? Does it tend to be a high penalty board?
No, not really. Because I mean, if there are collisions, which there are, as long as they're not intentional, then it's just not intentional.
Right.
But sometimes people who maybe not have a lot of hockey knowledge might, trip people, high sticking, like those types of penalties. Certainly they would be called.
Okay.
But, as long as you're not purposely doing it, as I say, it just plays like a sighted game. But every so often there's some amazing crashes.
So say somebody is taking liberties. Do you send your goon out after him?
No, it's non-contact. It's super friendly, but at times things get heated, and certainly if you're playing at the national tournament in the division that's super competitive, it can get pretty interesting out on the ice. But as I say, it's non-contact for the most part.
Now, in the past tournaments, listening to it on our channel AMI up here, you guys have had different colored teams, like a yellow team, a black team, I think a red team. Is there significance to those different colors of teams?
No, not really. We just use those colors. The only change on the ice is that we always have a darker team, so dark red or black, and a lighter team, a gold or a yellow. And so those are the colors we use. And that's simply for the visual reasons of we want to have that contrast as much as we can for those who can benefit from it.
Right.
But no, we just choose those colors just to name them. Some actually, a couple times we named them after different provinces. We've tried a variety of different things.
So now, what is the reaction been to blind hockey? Because it seemed to me I'm not a big hockey person, as the guys will tell you. But what's the reception been? Are most people generally surprised that blind hockey is a thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. People are shocked. Actually, they don't understand how it can be. But when they watch it or go on YouTube and they actually see how it works and how it works smooth and seamless, then they're just so inspired, because they're just like, wow, I can't believe people with, all types of vision play hockey, and all the way down to zero. And to see these goalies, glove save a puck or have it go off the deflector, it's very inspiring. And this year, we've had some great success with the campaign Hockey is for Everyone. So that's an NHL campaign.
Right.
And so we were in St. Louis with the Blues doing a session. We were down with the Avalanche. Most recently, the Flames had us out, and also in Montreal. And it's great because you get the alumni out, you get the actual players that are playing right now out, and you get kids, youth and adults who are blind out, and we have fun little scrimmages. We put on the visual simulator goggles, and then we have them shoot on the goalies. And yeah, the players are just blown away, and it's kind of funny. They're NHL players, but you put the vision sim goggles on it, and they can't move the puck around. so it's a pretty fun time. And then again, they just look at it and they go, I just can't believe you guys are out doing this. So it's just an amazing moment, and it's an amazing experience, because when you get a kid out there who thought they couldn't play hockey
right
because of their vision, and they kind of just sort of said to themselves, well, I guess I can't do that because, well, who does that? And then we show them that, of course, you could do that. They're just blown away. At our national tournament, there was this guy, Diego. He was 12 and reserved. His mom was telling me in the stands, just, how, well, when you lose your eyesight, you get reserved. It's hard, right? It's a pretty difficult process to go through. And then he started playing hockey, and she just lit up like a Christmas tree, because she's like, you wouldn't believe he's engaged. He's out there with his friends. He's doing more sports. Sure. And just playing hockey on a weekly basis. And he went from not skating at all in our 12-week program in Toronto to skating, and then playing in the tournament. And his mom was so excited. And it's an amazing time.
So tell us a little bit about these programs and how often they run for the kids.
Sure. So we just started one in Toronto last year. It was a 12-week program, and it was for kids and youth. And we take any type of ability, any type of vision loss, and we get them out there with the coaches, and we just start working with them. Just start training them. And if they haven't skated, well, then we just start with basic skating.
Right.
If they have skated, then we introduce some basic hockey skills. But at the end of the 12 weeks, they're playing in a game. And then they came out to our national tournament, and we had a kids and youth division, and we had them playing on each other's side. So it was like 5-on-5 for the small ones, and then 5-on-5 for the youth. And they just had such a good time. And again, the great thing is they're having such a good time, but also what's happening is the parents are visioning such a bright future for their children. Mm-hmm. And so you can just see the stress melt off them when you talk to them, and they go, wow, I just can't believe what this has done. So it's fantastic. So that was our first big kids and youth program in Toronto, and we'll be growing it bigger next year. And then Montreal is going to start one next year. And then in Vancouver, we're in the works to get one going too. So we have those kids and youth programs going. The other thing we do across the country is we have our regular games. So in Vancouver, we meet every Friday out at Moody Park Arena. And again, anybody's welcome. And we just start working with them. And over time, they just start playing the game. But we do that across Canada. So in every city, there's a blind hockey team, and they get together typically once a week, all levels, all ages. It depends. If they're too young, well, then we don't get them out there with the larger people. We'd work on them more one-on-one. But yeah, usually it's a weekly thing across Canada for the, let's say that would be the youth and adult games.
Yeah, I could see how this would be really incredibly valuable, especially for the youth, because, it translates so well over into all other aspects of their life. Because if it's like, all of a sudden they realize that, wow, I can play hockey. Like I can do this. I'm not held back by my visual impairment. It's not ruling me. That's a really huge thing to realize, especially in your, as a kid.
Mm-hmm. It's huge. And at the end of the day, you want to do what your friends do. So if they're playing hockey and you're going out and playing hockey, you're sharing in that same experience. And that is so important as you grow with people that they probably don't have your visual impairment. You go to a sighted school, but you can share in the same experience, and therefore you're growing together as opposed to growing apart. So it's a vital part, and getting them at the youth stage is crucial, because that's when they're highly influential. That's when all these different things have an impact. So to share the nation's game is a pretty special experience for a young boy or girl.
Now it sounds like with all the with the tournaments that you've mentioned and all the traveling around, where do the funds come from to support all this?
Well, that's a good question. We privately fundraise. So different teams do different things like pub nights, silent auctions. We have membership dues. We have tournament dues. We have two amazing sponsors, one AMI, so Accessible Media, the other one, the CNIB. So they're our largest sponsors. And they really give us the foundational funds to keep this going. Our goal is to provide a more sustainable business model to this organization, because we're very appreciative of the fundraising that goes on, but we need to make it a sustainable business model because we need to grow it larger and larger. And to do that, we need to count on money each year. So that's what we're doing right now.
Has Hockey Canada contributed anything?
No. Unfortunately not. Right now, USA Hockey is the governing body for disabled hockey in the States, and then blind hockey is a discipline under disabled hockey. So in the United States, to give you an example, in 5 years, they've grown to 6 teams. In Canada, I mean, we've been playing this game, as I say, for 30 years, but in a more formal structure for, we'll say 8 to 10. And unfortunately, there is no influence from Hockey Canada. And unfortunately, in all disabled hockey in Canada, they talk about how they want to be supporting it, but unfortunately, to date, they haven't come to the table and brought us all together.
That's no good.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yep.
Yeah,
because really, I mean, in terms of disabled hockey too, I mean, because there are what's it called, sledge hockey?
Sledge hockey for amputees. And,
yeah, I mean, so there are other types of hockey that.
Yeah, they need to step up and do it. I mean, sledge hockey has grown exponentially, so they were kind of, for lack of better words, I guess, forced into working with them. But I hope that extends to, I mean, there's deaf hockey, there's special hockey, there's blind hockey, there's amputee. I mean, there's a lot of different disabilities that need Hockey Canada to step up and put a framework in place, because we're all growing. It's just, that framework's not in place as of yet.
Now, is part of that because, and forgive my ignorance, but blind hockey is not a Paralympic sport at the moment, right?
No.
Is there hopes that maybe it will be one day?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's our goal. That's the end game, is to provide the sport from beginning to end. So As I say, someone just starting to competing in the Paralympics, and all the way through that continuum. The goal or the outcome for that is we need to have at least 8 nations playing the sport. And then we need to apply to the Paralympic Committee for acceptance. So we only have 2 nations right now. So that's a longer term strategy. Our next goal is 4 nations, and then we can play a 4 Nations Cup. So that's what we have our eyes on next.
Yeah, it surprises me that, some of the hockey powerhouses like Sweden, Norway, Germany don't have blind hockey leagues.
I think it's kind of like us, where people are probably playing, but they're just quietly doing it. Nobody knows of them, but they're probably little groups that have gotten together.
Right.
But yeah, there's no formal teams. But as I say, that's our next goal. We did have a gentleman come in from England, Nathan, who was at our tournament in Toronto and then came to Chicago for the USA tournament. And so he's gone back to England, and he's going to put together a team there. And then we do have a couple of people from Finland coming out to our development camp in the summer, who are committed to growing the sport there. So I think we're kind of on the sort of precipice here of having it really just unfold in front of us.
Right.
And we've done a great job in Canada, and the States has taken off extremely well, that I think we just will start to plug teams in. And the future looks pretty bright for developing this out across the world.
So soon we got to get Russia in there and do a summit series.
That would be it. Actually, there's a series coming up. We just announced it, USA versus Canada, and that's going to take place in Pittsburgh next year. And so that's going to be an amazing step forward. So it'll be the first time blind hockey has ever been played between two countries.
Nice.
Well, here's a question for you. There's been talk in evolving the puck. What is the status of that? They're talking about going to digital beeps or, sticking with the bearings.
Yeah, it's constantly moving forward and moving backwards, just like a true puck does. Because what happens is the digital puck, and we've had probably 3 or 4 versions now developed, they work very well, but as soon as you put them to the test of hitting the boards, they just blow apart.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's been some amazing prototypes. As I say, you get them out, you pass it back and forth. You're like, hey, man, this is a pretty good idea. And then you put them in a game environment, and 3 shots later, the thing's in 22 pieces.
Wow.
And $9,000 is scattered across the defensive end. So, but yeah, one of our goals is to try and look to get a more consistent sound out of the puck, and that's particularly important for the divisions of low vision, because the puck doesn't move as quickly, and if it should stop, the beeping allows someone to orientate themselves to the puck.
Right.
In the higher division, as I say, where it's the stream towards the Paralympics, I mean, the puck is always moving. So it's not so important there because of the levels of vision involved. But in the lower divisions that we play, where people B1, B2, digital puck would be extremely helpful.
So when that puck stops, the one with the ball bearings, basically you've got no sound, and what do you do then?
Well, typically someone with more vision comes to get it.
Okay.
Right? But it is so rare that happens. Maybe more in a game, like say a weekly game. If you only had a variety of low vision people come out that week, then it would be a bit more of a challenge. But typically the puck is always moving, and the B3s are moving it around and getting the puck. So it doesn't actually happen that often, just because of the pace of the game. But if it does, well, you got to figure it out. I mean, that's part of the process of just orientating yourself to where it was, where it could have gone, and then getting it.
Does the weight of the ball bearings influence the puck? Does it cause it to maybe shimmy a little? Yeah, it does. Like the size of the actual puck, and then like you say, the ball bearings. Sometimes it can sort of get on this weird wobbly trajectory, which makes it difficult then to stop with your stick and then shoot it back, because it because of the size, it can actually go over your stick if it's wobbling. So you got to be careful for sure about how it's coming at you, and then of course how you're going to respond to it.
but that just makes more fun. Makes it more interesting.
How much bigger than a traditional puck is it?
About 2 inches in width. I think a regular puck is 3.5. Yeah, don't quote me, but roughly, let's say 1.5 to 2 inches wider.
Right.
And then in height, a regular puck is probably 1 inch and a bit, so maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch taller.
Okay.
But when you put it up to a regular, it's substantial. Like we have a comparison of a regular puck to our puck. It's definitely substantial.
When I had gone out and got really close and intimate with the boards, I think one of the rules at that time anyway was the puck has to stay below the waist when it's in flight. Is that still true, or?
Well, it's certainly encouraged. Like you experienced, you don't want to. I mean, unfortunately, it does get up.
Yeah.
So what happens is if the puck hits the goalie in the face, in the mask, then we blow it down. And we also, I actually, another adaptive part of the game I didn't mention is the nets are 3 feet high instead of 4 feet high.
Okay.
So again, to encourage the puck down,
Right.
Because again, once it's in the air, no one can see it or hear it.
Right.
But it's in the air a lot when it comes to shooting on the net. So yeah, it's encouraged to keep it down, but the natural course of the game causes it to get higher.
So being a blind goalie and taking one in the face must be like getting hit by a freight train.
I'm sure it's an interesting experience because
you don't know it's coming. You can't hear it.
There's a lot of inertia behind that thing when you launch it.
And it's metal, yeah. So
yeah. No, I'm sure it's just it's like that cowbell being inside your cowbell, but hitting it with a bat. Yeah.
So on that then, do you wear more protective gear than regular hockey, or pretty much just the standard gear?
Yeah, standard gear. I mean, some of the sort of, I guess, different things that could happen is that the puck, if it hits your ankle in a shot, oh boy, it's unpleasant. Like super unpleasant. But typically everything's identical. We wear neck guards just for the safety reason of people don't know where their skates are going, and sometimes you get tumbles. So, but I mean, neck guards are common. We do full shield hockey, so we want a full shield on everybody because again, you can't see it, and you don't want to take a stick or a puck to the face. So yeah, those things are not different, but those things are all enforced.
Right.
Here's one. Do you guys have girls playing on the team?
Oh yeah, boys and girls. In Vancouver, we have one girl right now. But boys and girls are all welcome.
So I think you kind of explained this, but being a hockey novice, I probably didn't understand it correctly. But so
touchdown.
No. But so specific positions are tailored to specific sight levels. Is that right? Like, so say forwards need to have a little bit more vision than say the defense or the goalies. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair statement. It also depends on the quality of your vision. So, for your listeners or say for yourself, if you have tunnel vision, so a classic RP type disease, you have that ability to see better, but it's in such a narrow tunnel that you might be better at a different position than, say, if you have star guards where the central's gone, but peripherally you're able to move around the ice pretty freely.
Right.
And then we try and match that up with the actual just hockey ability. Because the key is we want you to have the most fulfilling experience as possible. So we're trying to match your eye disease with your ability. But let's say in generic terms, B3s are forwards, B2s are defense, B1s are goalie.
Yeah. So now historically, talk to us a little bit about what the challenges in terms of spreading the word about blind hockey have been. Like, has it been that just getting the word out has been the challenge, or has it been because it is so, it seems so extreme to say people who are like, I can, my son can't play hockey, he's blind. And like, do you find that you run up against those sort of preconceptions?
Yeah, definitely. Just like in life, right? It's the same thing, but when you get it into a sport, and certainly a fast pace, one of the fastest paced sports, people say those exact things, like vision teachers, grade level teachers, moms, dads. They're just like, at first response is like, well, no, I don't think my son can do that. Or, my daughter's not going to go out there and play ice hockey. That really is the biggest challenge. And then looking back, when you're losing your eyesight, it's really not the first activity you choose is ice skating, right? It's not
Right.
like, hey, let's throw you out in the middle of this rink and teach you ice skating. You'll probably naturally go to other types of sporting disciplines. So then you put ice hockey on top of it. It really reduces the ability for blind kids and youth to be exposed.
Right.
So I would say that is our biggest obstacle. And what's great about that is it's an obstacle and is an obstacle, of course, but when they see it, they're like, wow. And they're just so encouraged. But again, getting the word out so people realize, and I want to get the kids and the youth out as early as they can, because when they get to it early, their ability to excel at it is just so much more rapid than like myself. I started at 30. If you saw me skate out there, I look ridiculous. And it's because I didn't take formal skating lessons. So getting younger kids, when you can actually teach them, formal skating lessons and then get them playing the game, it's incredible to watch them move. So yeah, those obstacles are pretty typical in everything, but ice hockey, it seems to be, a higher level of obstacle for us.
Right.
Now, Mark, I recall that you lost your vision over time. Did you play hockey before?
No, never did.
So
I've been losing my eyesight for 41 years now. So, but yeah, never played. And I think I fell into that same category. Back then, there was absolutely no blind ice hockey for me to even think that was possible. So I went towards skiing. But I would have loved to have had the opportunity to play ice hockey as a kid.
Well, I think that must be another big obstacle as well. Like I lost my sight in a car accident back when I was 23 and just outside of Kamloops. And at that point in time, like you say, there wasn't blind hockey. But how do you get the word out about sporting in general, accessible sports? Because, I didn't know of BC Blind Sports when I was in Kamloops, and I don't recall. I think there was one event where they came out and did a tandem cycling demonstration, but these smaller communities don't have the same amenities or the same, population or access to the events that the major centers seem to have.
Yeah, and that's really what it is that the numbers are so low in the blind community that we have. Like BC Blind Sports, great organization. They get out where they can. But the numbers, the funding, it's nothing compared to the sighted world. Mm-hmm. So actually starting something and then sustaining it, and that's the most part, is sustaining a program, has massive challenges. Because, even in Vancouver, we only have, 18 blind people that come out and play hockey right now. It's huge. We draw from millions of people in the Lower Mainland. Mm-hmm. The numbers are really small in blind sports.
So how can we help get the word out about blind hockey?
Well, through this podcast, I mean, this is a great way.
That's a great idea. We should have you on the podcast.
You know what?
Right.
It's not a bad idea.
Right. I wish I would have hit record. I wish I would have thought of that.
Yeah. Also, when you're in the blind world, of course, and engaged in it closely. So anybody you're in contact with that uses your services, just letting them know that those are options.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like, we talk all the time about youth sports in particular and how important youth sports are to kids because it teaches them so much. It teaches them about teamwork and it teaches them about, self-esteem. And all that stuff is doubly important, I would think, for say, any sort of disabled community, visual impaired, for example. Visually impaired, kids certainly can benefit from team sports, and there really needs to be more options for them to choose from. I mean,
well, they're not taking part in gym class in regular school, right? Because the sports aren't adapted for them in the first place, unless maybe it's running or track or something.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really important for there to be things that they can do extracurricularly that they can, because it's got to be such an incredibly empowering thing for them to be able to go to their friends and be like, yeah, I play hockey as well, and it just teaches them that they're not restricted to only doing certain things. I mean, that's the real message that we want to send to the next generation, and we need to build up some of these options for them.
I think the other thing we need to do too is we need to really show the regular sighted world just how extreme some of these sports are. Because you watch a sledge hockey match, and or like you said, you're flinging around a metal puck that's bigger and heavier, and it's gonna sooner or later impact one of your ankles. You guys aren't screwing around out there. You're doing some extreme sports. So.
Oh yeah, when the puck drops, it's the game of hockey. It's not we don't take it lightly. It's the game of hockey, and we play it with the same vim and vigor and passion and dedication that anybody does when they play the sport. The other part of, and you've touched on a little, is the social aspect of being in the change room and just having that camaraderie and shared experience with other people that have your same challenges. And it can spill over in simple things like, hey, how did you do that on your iPhone? And for a blind person, boy, you could be frustrated for months, and then someone beside you does some sort of flick, and they go, "Oh, that's how you do it." And you're like, "Oh man, thanks." Or a simple thing about how do you use the transit app? Like there's so many things that when you share a common experience with someone who truly understands who you are, your life is so much more improved. I mean, you just start to glow and you radiate success. And that's what I see in this game, is that you get the guys in the room and the girls in the room, and they're just like, wow, I feel totally empowered. Yeah. As opposed to typical sort of story is losing your eyesight is very socially isolating. Yeah. I mean, it is brutally isolating. And so I want to do anything I can to show people that, yes, you do have a physical limitation. Those are the facts, but that's not the story that needs to be, that doesn't have to define your life. Your life is the story you tell yourself. Right. And if you tell yourself that life is full of abundance, joy, empowerment, and success, that's what you have. And it doesn't matter if you're disabled or abled or whatever you want to call yourself. You need to share that experience with other people so they can improve your life.
And I think we'll stop there.
Wait, why aren't there cheerleaders in hockey? That's what I want to know.
That's a good point. I have no idea.
You wouldn't see them shaking their pom-poms anyway.
They don't have to have pom-poms. I guess maybe they fall down a lot on skate. I don't know. Maybe
well, at the games they do have the younger folks who come out with the with the brooms and squeegees to take the ice off the top. They do this little scrape thing between.
Really?
They clean. Yeah, they
stuff.
clean off the ice between the commercials.
Yeah, and let me tell you, some of the girls doing that are pretty cute. So.
I haven't been to a hockey game in a long time.
Yeah.
So you guys have also had, I think, some camps with the Canucks alumni.
We've had some games with the Canucks alumni. Yeah, we had one out in Abbotsford 3 weeks ago for CNIB 100.
Did you win?
Celebration, and that was great. I mean, that was super fun. We had, again, kids out there. We had people from the Eclipse and some alumni. So that's been great. That's actually only happened in the last 2 or 3 years that we've been able to make some headway there.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, the next step is to actually get to the Canucks. I mean, the alumni are a great organization, but we want to get to the players.
Well, I think they're probably available now, aren't they? Aren't they done? Aren't they kind of done for the year?
You'd have to collect them up off all the golf courses.
Well, today we might have an opportunity.
That's right.
Yeah, indeed. There's not going to be a lot of them out on the course today.
All right, why you guys want to spend a few minutes and talk? I don't know, hockey talk. Who do you like in the playoff?
We covered that.
We tried that in the beginning.
He's being non-committal right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, for me, again, it takes a lot for me to listen to hockey. So some other players on my team, they love it. They listen to it all day long. But for me, until it gets closer and closer for me to commit the time and get myself engaged, I got to wait till.
Let's narrow it down then. What's there 2 Canadian teams left? Winnipeg and Toronto.
Yeah, I'd go Toronto because I mean they've just sucked for so long that I would want them to do something. But also, Winnipeg, as I say, they've gone away for so long and then they've come back and developed their franchise again. So I mean that would be pretty spectacular. Highly unlikely, but I'd certainly root for them.
Yeah, I'm really. Hoping the Golden Knights do something in the playoffs because they're such a great story in the league this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. What a crazy team out there in the Vegas.
It's their first year in the league.
This is a Las Vegas team.
Yeah, they're an expansion team.
Okay,
and they ended up. What did they end up? 4th overall in the league, I think. Mm-hmm. And for that's unheard of for an expansion team to make it to the playoffs to begin with, but to be 4th in the league is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
So what about you, Steve?
What about me?
I don't know. Who out of the 2 Canadian teams, who do you, Toronto or Winnipeg?
Well, my second favorite team in the league is always whoever's playing Toronto. So,
Winnipeg.
I'm having to kind of ease up on that a little bit because it's we've only got so many Canadian teams in the playoffs.
Yep.
But I'd love to see Winnipeg do something too.
Mm-hmm.
When are they? So how closer to the playoffs are we?
We're still first round.
We're in them in the first round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Nobody's eliminated yet.
Nope.
So how would people find out more about blind hockey?
Best way is just go to blindicehockey.com. Yeah, that's where everything's posted.
Cool. And you said you're going to be having programs Vancouver coming up, Montreal, is that right?
Yeah, so we'll have the kids and youth repeat itself in Toronto next year.
Yep.
And then Montreal, we haven't got the exact commitment, like a full commitment, but we're about 90% there for a commitment in Montreal. And then Vancouver, I'd say we're 50% there because, for the kids and youth, it requires getting separate coaches and separate volunteers. So we're kind of 50% there. And that was actually part of the whole fundraising that we were raising money for that. That's how you got heard about me, Steve, I guess, through the Facebook post.
Yep.
Is getting that money so we could build out those campaigns. Well, one, we won't lose them because if we didn't raise the money, we'd probably lose them. But 2, we did so well that now building it out in Montreal and Vancouver are the next steps.
And how can people donate?
Blindicehockey.com. Yeah, you just go there and there's a donate button. And That's it. Or you can send a check in. I mean, if it's a big check, and like we say, anything over $1,000, send it to the address on the website, because then there's no processing fees.
We'll just start a GoFundMe page.
Yeah, well, I think is it still? I'm not sure if our site, that fund page, is still running, because I'll have to ask Matt about that. But I'm pretty sure there's another page on that same site.
Okay.
Just press donate now.
Now for people who may be in the States, is there a U.S. Sort of sister organization to you guys down there, or can they find out information at the website on that as well?
Yeah, they can contact us. That's the easiest way of going about it, and then we would direct them to USA Disabled Hockey. Or if they're in a specific city, we could just direct them to the local cities.
Right. Okay.
That have teams. But I mean, basically we started it. So by contacting us, we know everybody. So
right. Okay.
That's the easiest place to send an email, is just saying, hey, I'm interested in this for myself, or my son, or my daughter. And then we can certainly support them and point them in the right direction.
And, the more people who get involved, the more visibility the organization is going to have. And, the faster we can get to a point where this can be just a standard sporting option for the visually impaired youth.
That's it. That's exactly it.
So
and it's a great time right now, because with the States growing as quickly as it is, they basically power all sport around the world.
Right.
So we've been super encouraged to see them grow and have the infrastructure. I mean, they just tapped into an amazing infrastructure.
Right.
So their growth is just going to be, it's fast right now. It's just going to keep going. So we're definitely encouraged. Okay, guys. Well, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for putting us out there.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely. And we'll be in touch. We'll touch base again coming up, and best of luck with the programs.
And we'll start practicing our play-by-play skills here.
Yeah, that's absolutely. You guys should just work as a team play-by-play, and we can get you out there.
There you go.
Okay, Kane. Thanks very much for your support.
Thanks
you
so much,
Nice.
Mark.
Take care.
There you go. Blind hockey, huh?
Yeah. How about that?
Now I have to get somebody on to talk about blind tennis and blind baseball and blind soccer.
Well, honestly, I me, I give sports a bit of a hard time. But honestly, it is such an important part of
Socialization
and development for kids. It's so important to play a team sport and to, like you said, be involved in that particular community, and it's so empowering. So, the more that we can do to help raise awareness, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a great organization, and it's opening up doors that were closed before, which is very cool. I hope these guys are connected with Blind Beginnings and can pick off some of those kids and get them out as well. Get them learning young.
I was going to ask about that, but if they had done any work with Blind Beginnings, but yeah, that would be a perfect pairing, because they're constantly looking for ways that just empower youth, and that's where we got to hit. We got to hit the new generation. We got to hit the youth, and send this message that you're not constrained by what other people may think you can or can't do.
Yep.
So yay hockey! Today I'm a hockey fan.
Yay!
Woohoo. All right.
So enjoy it while it lasts. So once the mics are off, I'm back to
boo hockey.
Curmudgeoning again.
Yeah, it's not curmudgeon. I just lack of interest. Listen, I had too many hockey players give me face washes when I was a child.
That's because you weren't a hockey player.
That's right.
You should have actually played, and then you would have been with them giving other people face washes.
Forget it. They have to eat.
Well, he couldn't get away from it where he lived, because they probably had their regular hockey teams, their rec teams.
Yeah.
But then they also had like two channels, and CBC, all they play in the winter is hockey, right?
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
He couldn't get away from it.
You're absolutely right. That hockey night in Canada. Every time your phone goes off for that hockey night in Canada theme, I have like flashbacks of being like 7 and like just trying to find something to watch on Saturday night, and that's it. It was just stupid hockey or nothing.
G.I. Joes, here I come.
Terrible.
Yeah. comic books.
Dun, dun. Ugh. Yeah.
And he didn't want to go outside and play. It was too cold.
It's too cold. No, I had a neighbor that played hockey. He had to get up at like 4 a.m.
Yep.
on Saturday mornings to go play hockey. I was
Yep.
like, screw that. Oh, thank you. Anything else to say about hockey? So Ryan, I mean, you spent some time playing blind hockey here in this league.
No,
Did you not?
I went out once.
Okay, well that's spending some time.
Very little time.
Well, that's once. So what happened? Like, what was your experience like with it? Like,
Well, it's changed a lot since then. You know, I've spoken to Matt Morrow, who's kind of the director of blind hockey here in BC, and you know they've changed the way they do things. There's a lot more communication, a lot more structure than there was. So my experience was, for me, it was difficult because I grew up playing hockey as a sighted kid, and after losing my sight, I assumed I could do everything I used to do when I had sight. You know, I thought I could still go to a batting cage and hit a ball. I figured I could still curl. I could still do all the same stuff. And reality, you know, slapped me in the face multiple times. And so getting on skates again was great, you know, because I have skated as a blind person with my dad and other people. Mm-hmm. And so that part of it was fine. But being in a great big open rink and having such an open airiness to the sound of the place, for me, I didn't know where I was. You know, if they say to try to stay, you know, within, I don't know, 10, 15 feet of the goalie and communicate back and forth with the goalie, and that's fine. But, you know, in order to, you know, get my stride and just kind of figure out where I was, as soon as I turn around, I'm lost again, right? Because I had no point of reference. I'm just on a blank sheet of ice. So for me, it was kind of disorientating. And if I would have stuck with it and then gone repeatedly, I would probably, like Mark said, gotten used to it, gotten familiar with, you know, the distance between the boards, learned to communicate. So it would have been a better experience. But like I said, I only went out the one time.
well, you should go out again. You should.
I'm old.
Oh, that's true.
I'm
That's
old.
true.
I'll
We don't
break.
fall and break a hip or
That's
something.
right.
That's true. I forgot we're old.
That's
but no,
right.
but that is probably why. Do you think that they try to put blind goalies in?
Yes.
So that you know, because then if you have no sight at all, you're not skating around.
And you can use your stick and bang each post, you know, so you know you're still between the posts.
Right.
You know, you still come out a little bit, you know, when you hear the puck coming. But yeah, the goalies are blind for that purpose. You're not.
Right. And not to mention it, then that way it's completely even across the board, right? Like, so
Yeah.
if all the teams have their goalies that are either blindfolded or totally blind, then it's sort of an even.
Yep. But it's definitely something I you know, direct people to go out and try. You know, there's so many opportunities now, whether it's, you know, just speaking blindness, whether it's blind tennis or blind hockey or tandem cycling or skiing. There's so many opportunities now. There's no reason to stay in your house.
No, absolutely not. And there's no reason to think that, you know, to be afraid of just trying something new and trying something that people tell you can't do.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, go out and give it a try.
But yeah, you know, you might find something you love doing, right? You know,
Yeah.
whether it's, like I said, skiing or tandem cycling or whatever.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's now more than ever. You know, I really feel the need that we need to start pushing forward these things because, you know, just for the youth, because it is such an important growing tool.
Well, and it's interesting that Mark said, what did he say? They had 13 or 18 people come out on their team now.
Yep.
You know, and that, like he says, that is such a small population. You think of the CNIBs, the CCBs, the AEBCs, the Blind Beginnings, all these different agencies. You know, there should be more kids participating in sport.
Well, they're sure. And, you know, and going back to Blind Beginnings, this is why that organization is so important, is because it's teaching young people to not feel constrained, to do whatever. And this is a perfect example of it, because
Another option. Yeah. Get your kids out and participate.
Yeah.
participation.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. So anything else to say about that?
No.
That's good. That was a really good idea, Steve. I'm glad you came up with that one.
I had a good idea.
Yay. That's it for another year.
Yeah. I'm going to mark that one on the calendar so I can celebrate its anniversary.
The hamster can go back to sleep now.
Yay.
Hey, Ryan,
Rob,
where can people find us?
they can find us at atbanter.com.
They can also drop us an email at atbanterpodcast@gmail.com.
Ding, 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 ding,
Winner,
ding,
winner,
ding,
chicken
ding,
dinner.
ding.
Thank you. Hey, Steve.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm just fine. I want to have a nap.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a day. We got exercise. We got soaked.
I know if I go home right now, there will be a bulldog sitting on the bed waiting to be cuddled.
Oh, well, we better get out
So
of here.
I want to go home, snuggle with my bulldog, and have a nap.
All right. Well, then tell the fine people where they can find Canadian Assistive Technology, and you can go do that.
Okay, well, you can find Canadian Assistive Technology in Canada, obviously. Our website is www.canastech.com, CANASSTECH.com. And if you have anything that needs fixing, assistive technology-wise, not like your cat, you can get that done at Chaos Technical Services, our buddy Rick, and he is at chaostechnicalservices.com.
Oh, you know what? Let's talk about our anniversary show and what we're going to do for that, Ryan.
What are we going to do for that?
We are going to do a Twitter chat. We're going to do a live Twitter chat.
So that means we need our audience to participate in our
right.
Twitter chat with us.
Yep.
Or it's just going to be three of us chatting with each other.
Yeah, and it may end up being that.
So audience,
That's a bad thing.
jump forward. Join us.
Yeah. So in the next week or so, we'll have all the information as to the time and how to engage us. You can ask us questions in real time that we'll answer. You can insult us in real time. Anything, whatever you want to do. We're dancing monkeys for you for an hour, and we'll probably have shots.
Yes, and there will be alcohol as well, so we will get less and less constrained as time goes on.
It'll be quite the
filters
thing,
will come off.
Yeah.
It'll be quite the thing to behold.
If you really want to get to
Train
know the
wreck in
three of
real
us,
time.
join us.
So we look for information. We'll have more information about that coming up, but we're excited about that. The big 100th episode. Seems like just yesterday we were talking about doing this around a lunch table, and
In 2 years.
Ryan was like, "This will never work.
Yep.
We're going to do two and then never
Where are we
do
going to
another
find
one."
guests? Nobody's going to join us.
Why do we need a podcast, Rob?
Exactly. So look at how far we've come.
How about that?
Who thought that we'd be sitting in Ryan's basement?
I still don't know how
Surrounded by
far we've
guitars.
come, but we're still doing it.
Yeah. We started above ground and now we're below ground, so I don't know if we're making progress or not.
In 2 years, we'll be doing our podcast from hell.
Yeah. Well, we just might if Trump meets with North Korea. Anyways. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks so much for listening in, and we will see everybody next week.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canastech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com. Or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840 or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com. Music provided by bensound.com.
Whoa, look at that. Master of the one take.